We begin a series of discussions regarding the theory that we are all products of our environment. During the formative years, during the years in which we gain most of our developmental nature, we see and we experience different things in our life. We see things that are around us, circulating around us, people, their behavior, situations, how they deal with these situations. And there is only one true answer to this theory, and that is, what did they see in their formative years? What did they see when the brain had much of its plasticity, when the brain was formulating, when the brain was developing, when habits and behaviors that were considered normal were created? You cannot take a person out of the forest and bring that person to the city without that person suffering from residual psychological dependence on what they were trained and what they saw in the forest versus what they saw in the city. And I think it makes for a very great argument, that if a son or daughter sees something often enough during their early stages of life, the behavioral stages of life, the brain is in its most formative stage. Whatever they see during that period of time is going to remain with them and is going to affect how they deal with their adult life. We've seen case after case of patients that are abusive to their child or to their children. 8 times out of 10, those parents were abused during their own childhood. Okay, abused, maybe a little bit too strong, maybe a little bit too harsh, but there are cases of which. But also cases of very strict discipline. And these children who were scared of their parents while they were growing up, when they have children, they treat their children in many cases as the same as the way their parents treated them. Is that good or bad? Well, it depends on the person. In my opinion, a strong discipline is necessary. But in some cases, there was physical abuse, physical punishment. Is that necessary? Today, in the society, in most cases, no. But these people were products of their own environment. A boy growing up in a household, a European household of European descent, watches his mother take very diligent care of her husband. The husband was the king of the castle, so to speak. The husband was the boss. The woman, 9 times out of 10, during whatever generation you want to look at, not including the current one, stayed at home and was a housemaid. And so they took care of the husband because they saw him as the primary breadwinner of the household. However, those children, those sons and daughters that grew around grew up around these parents who acted in this fashion, believed that when they were married, that their wives and their husbands and their children would treat them in the same way. But in today's generation, it does not exist as such. There is no one breadwinner in a home today. There are two, maybe two and a half. And so the relationship between a husband and a wife and a father and a son and a mother and a daughter and vice versa has to change and has to be changed. But because that individual might have been a product of his or her environment, it is very much so, to be difficult to that person. And so we look at the here and the now. We look on the behavior that was, and we hope to change it and correct it in the very same time. Now, Alfred Adler, the great psychologist, also had a theory. The theory was individual psychology. The theory is, let's not look at Group A the way we look at Group B. Group A grew up in this atmosphere. Group B grew up in this atmosphere. Let us not look as people as a whole, but as Adler theorized, let's look at people as individuals. And when I say individuals, their individual psychological experience. So, as we begin this series of discussions, we should reflect on our own behavior, on our own past, present, and future. Because what we have learned throughout our lifetime is what we perceive as normal. And these series of discussions will, in fact, prove that we are products of our environment.